Oh, man, yo, what's the deal, man? It's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 10:03 p.m. You know what I'm saying? June 8th, 2025. Like I said, I am fucked up. I am done. I've been sick all fucking day. I've been sick all fucking day. Like, I'm out of it. You know what I mean? I've been, I couldn't do the shit I wanted. I couldn't shave. I couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? I see on the news that, the migrants are battling against ICE in LA. It's just fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. I mean, I got my own opinions on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm anti-migrant. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. You know what I mean? I think they basically fucked up the country. But that's just me. That's just me. This has nothing to do with, oh shit, bitch look like Dionne Warwick. There's some lady named Karen Bass who look exactly like Dionne Warwick. I thought it was Dionne Warwick. But I wanted to make this video because I had another video in mind. But shout out to the Off the Mic Sports podcast. He mentioned something about, and this is a reply to him. This is clearly in response to him and, something that he said earlier about R-Truth and, the whole coming back to WWE thing and such. I did see the report, and I even put this out there, about Nick Khan being the one to make that phone call for R-Truth to return, right? And this had me thinking, like shout out to him, to Mike for the show. He mentioned some things that really had me thinking. Triple H is a guy who, he was a guy who not only he gave a fuck about the wrestling business, but he still does. But this is a man who also, he also helps to rebuild bridges. He was doing this last decade. Now, because of him, we wouldn't have the Ultimate Warrior back in WWE, for the Hall of Fame speech. But of course, you guys know, unfortunately, what happened to him, the day after. Real sad. Real fucking sad. Sting, he was the man who built the bridge to, for Sting to come on into WWE. Because remember, he did the thing with the 2K deal. Goldberg, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, and so on and so forth, right? And so it also, Triple H, CM Punk. Even though it was also Nick Khan and such too, but it definitely was Triple H. And so, Tony Khan is, I remember what he said, when he said about Nick Khan in that promo, say, who's the best Khan in the business? Because he was talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and how Nick Khan, tried to talk to New Japan Pro Wrestling and such, right? But years later, right? It seemed like the tables have turned, right? And it seemed like, Nick Khan is now starting to be, that businessman who is like, all right, you know what? When he calls, you pick up that phone. Now, Triple H was like that. He was definitely like that. Of course, now Triple H is a guy who is doing stuff in creative, right? But, Triple H, I'm sorry, not Triple H, Nick Khan is starting to be in that same position, right? And mind you, R-Truth picked up the phone. Now, he picked up the fucking phone. And he called, he spoke to Nick Khan to get a deal done, right? That's how you know that not only Nick Khan knew he fucked up, but he wanted to make shit right. When the fuck was the last time Tony Khan even did something like that? When was the last time you seen that? When was the last time? The last time you seen something like that was I think, Mina Shirakawa and the fucking theme music. But that's pennies compared to this shit. You know what I mean? I think you have a two-headed monster right there with Triple H and Nick Khan in terms of bringing people in and such. Because again, like they have or they know how to, they know how to work business. I mean, they know how to work business. They give a fuck about WWE. They do. I mean, they truly do. And I think with Nick Khan and Samaya, he's the president. The president is calling R-Truth. You know what I mean? And R-Truth, in the report, I think this was from PW Insider. R-Truth was not picking up no calls. He was not picking up no calls from anybody from WWE. Anybody from WWE. But when Nick Khan called, that's when he answered that phone. Now, if it was Triple H, he probably would have picked up the phone too. You know what I mean? But again, it's very interesting to think about, because again, if this is Nick Khan who called R-Truth personally, that tells you watch the fuck out. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes down to free agents, with contracts coming up and all this other shit, right? Watch the fuck out. And I agree. I agree with the Off the Mic Sports Network, and I'm going to put that link to the video in the description, saying that Nick Khan is the better Khan than Tony Khan. You know what I'm saying? He's the better Khan, because think about this, right? Just think about this for a minute, okay? Tony Khan is a fucking mark. He's a mark. Excuse me, he's a fucking mark. He's a mark that, he basically doesn't know jack shit about the wrestling business and stuff, and he's just shelling out money and all this other things, right? And, this is why the product is not fucking growing. This AEW is never going to grow. They're never going to fucking grow. They're stagnant to a point where, they're going to be in position, where they're going to stay where they at. You know what I mean? The ratings, the ratings suck. It sucks, just like my mom says, suck baloney. It sucks dick. Sucks nuts. You know what I mean? And I believe if you was to, and you know what? There are people in the community who is going to say, oh, they talk shit about Nick Khan and such, but I bet you if you switch the roles, and have Nick Khan be the president of AEW and such, and have Tony Khan as the president of WWE, right? Nick Khan would basically give, AEW, a whole better deal than what the fuck they got now. You know what I mean? Because again, Nick Khan was also a former agent. He was a former fucking agent. You know what I mean? So again, just look out. Just look out. Just look out. And I'm pretty sure Triple H had a say in this. So I'm pretty sure, he went to Hunter, Nick Khan went to Hunter and said, we fucked up. We fucked up. We got to bring back R-Truth. One thing led to another, and he said, fuck it. All right, make the call. He made the call, and booyaka. You seen him last night at Money in the Bank, right? But again, I strongly believe, Nick Khan is, him and Triple H. I say now, believe it or not, because Nick Khan has done more good for the wrestling business. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Nick Khan is more dangerous than Triple H in this pro wrestling business. I think he's more dangerous than Triple H. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. Truth, when Nick Khan called, Truth picked up. And whatever deal that they had, one thing led to another, and bam. It's something to look out for. Like I said, guys, I am fucked up. I am fucked up. But, thank you guys for watching. And I'm actually 29 subscribers away from 100 subs. You know what I mean? I thank y'all so much for it. Like I said, I'm just a small YouTuber who just like talking wrestling, who like speaking my mind and such, and I thank you guys. I thank you guys so much. All right, so I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.